Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that is designed for single people that may have the intention of being in a relationship, but aren't sure when to pursue a relationship, not sure if they should commit to a relationship, when to continue communicating, when not to. So this is a hypnosis session designed to have a way of thinking about dating that uses an analogy. And as a hypnotist, I love metaphors, love analogies, because it gives a structure, a way of thinking that may be relevant in one area, and then you can apply it to a new area. And that can be done in a disempowering but also an empowering way. So one of the analogies that a lot of people when they're trying to lose weight do is the game of snakes and ladders. So they can make amazing progress, have a few bad days, and they will literally say the phrase, "Oh, I'm back to square one." And what that means is that they're playing this game of snakes and ladders when it comes to weight loss. And I think with dating and romantic relationships, particularly in the States, sometimes baseball is used as an analogy for dating, first base, second base, things like that. In this hypnosis session, I'm actually going to use poker as an analogy for dating, just because I think there is ways of evaluating and utilizing poker strategy that actually can be quite empowering in a dating sense. So if you're listening to this, and maybe you've got anxiety at the idea of dating, maybe you're in a relationship but you're not happy in that relationship, maybe you've been single for a while and don't have the confidence to go dating, if you are feeling like it would be useful to have additional resources or additional confidence in this area, there will be a link nearby that will enable you to book a free 30-minute consultation call with me to explore working with me one-on-one. Equally, there are lots of downloads, many of which aren't available on the podcast, that you can get completely free if you go to my website, adamcox.co.uk, and use the coupon code FREE in the download section. But for now, find a quiet place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and enjoy the session. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow feelings of any stress, worry, or tension to leave your body in your outward breath. That's right. Deeper and deeper, relaxed. And if it's safe to do so, in the next outward breath, if you haven't already done so, then allow your eyelids to close. And in closing, just imagine you're giving permission to your body to let go of those things that you don't need right now. And perhaps that is tension, or stress, or worries or anxiety. So you can just breathe in that resourceful feeling of relaxation, and then exhale that tension. enabling you to go deeper and deeper, relaxed. As you breathe in and breathe out, notice that as your body relaxes, your mind becomes more imaginative, more playful. And I want you to entertain an interesting idea. An idea that perhaps makes sense if you're single and not currently in a relationship. I want you to think that many different games could be used as an analogy for dating. You could think of it as a sport, as predator and prey. There are many different ways of thinking about the dance of communication. But I want you to use the power of your imagination to imagine a high-end casino, maybe a luxurious casino. Maybe you're thinking of one of those casinos in the south of France. Monaco, Monte Carlo. Imagine perhaps people driving up in their limousines and walking out in their tuxedos and evening gowns, walking into this luxurious casino, and then imagine you're there finding your way towards the poker table. And even if you don't really know the rules of poker, I want you to get a sense that there are people playing poker around the table. There's a dealer. You can see them stacking up their chips. I want you to get a sense that the chips flow from those that play with bad strategy to those that play with good strategy. I want you to get a sense that there is an element of statistics, there's also an element of luck. There's an element of playing the numbers, but there's an element of playing the people, reading their facial expressions, their hesitations, the way in which you can learn from what they've done previously to what they do next. And I want you to get a sense that there are different ways of thinking about finding the right person for you. And you could put it down to chance. And it's possible, isn't it, that if you play poker, the very first time you sit down at the table, there is a statistical possibility that the very first hand that you're dealt matches with the cards that are spread out on the table in front of you. And you might be fortunate on your very first hand to have a jackpot, an amazing winning hand. And while that's possible, the seasoned professionals around that table know that it is costly and expensive in emotions and money to play every hand. I want you to get a sense that just because you're dealt those two cards doesn't mean you have to play them. In fact, sometimes the very best thing to do is to throw those cards away. But sometimes those two cards are just good enough to want to see the flop, those 3 cards dealt face up in the middle of the table. And you might have to put a few chips in to see that flop. But if the cards, your 2 cards, are good, why wouldn't you play that hand? I want you to get a sense that in many ways, dating is a bit like poker. You meet people day to day in life, in work, in social situations. You might be introduced to someone, or you might have an app. But just because you're introduced to someone or you match with someone doesn't mean that you have to go on a date with that person. I want you to get a sense that you can read the information as it's presented to you. What if it's a sense that you can't expect to meet someone new, to form a new relationship, if you're not dealt any cards? And even if you are dealt the cards, there's no guarantee that the cards that you're dealt are going to match with the cards that are face up there in the table for you. And sometimes what you think is an amazing hand on the flop turns out to be an atrocious hand on the turn or the river. When all 5 cards are there in front of you, what you thought was amazing at one point in time might be awful towards the end. And sometimes what you think is a very average hand that you're dealt, when you have access to more information, you go on those dates, you get to know someone better. What if it turns out that you have a winning hand? Something where you want to go all in. The only way to lose this game is to never play the game. And sometimes people have what they think is a good strategy. They just want to wait forever for those pocket pair of aces, those 2 aces they're dealt on that pre-flop right at the beginning. But in doing so, doesn't it mean that they're guaranteed to miss out on even better hands had they played a few more games? Sometimes having impossibly high standards just means that you miss out on the very best that's possible. But equally, settling with an atrocious hand because you're not sure if you'll ever get a better hand is also a bad strategy. And I want you to get a sense that if you're single and you're playing that game, that the strategy has to be a reflection of the objectives. And once you know what your intention is, you can play a game that reflects the very intentions that you have. Everyone has a different definition of what winning means. For some, it's a series of amazing hands. For other people, it's finding the perfect hand for them. I want you to get a sense that whatever game you're playing, you are unlocking the confidence, the resilience to keep playing even if it feels like the chips are down. Because even if you feel tired and exhausted of playing at the table for so long, you never know what the next hand will be for you. The key is to keep playing the game. To stay in for just one more round. And maybe that's going on just one more date. Sending one more message. Getting to know someone that little bit better. Not rushing to make those drastic judgments, but equally being willing to make decisions as to whether you continue playing or decide to bow out at any point in time, knowing that you don't owe anything to anyone else but yourself. What's meant to be will be, and the only way this game can really be won if what's good is for you is also good for someone else. Because in the game of relationships, each of you are the missing cards in the perfect hand. And when you identify that, doesn't it make sense to want to keep playing that hand? If you found an amazing combination of cards that fit with you and you fit with them, why would you want to throw those cards away to run the risk of having a worse hand in the very next round? I want you to get a sense that the game is now an enjoyable game to play again for you. Even if you felt that in the past you went all in and you lost everything. Imagine that you're restoring your confidence. You have a new stack of chips. A desire to bet on yourself again. To do what's necessary to make you the very best version of you. To work on your flaws. To improve on what makes you the very best that you can be. And in doing so, just as statistics guarantee that sooner or later, the numbers, the cards will be the right cards for you. The same is true in life. Sooner or later, you will find the right person for you. And when you identify them, don't be surprised if your intuition is telling you to play that hand. And then you realize this luxurious casino, this high-stakes poker, it's just an analogy, a metaphor for a particular part of your life that has done what it's meant to do, to open up new possibilities. And in doing so, I want you to get a sense of renewed optimism, hope, and positivity. unlocking the very emotional resilience required to play this particular game. To give you the confidence to keep playing even if what you thought was an amazing hand turned out to just be a drain on you. Your chips are renewed. Your confidence is renewed. You have a desire to just play a few more rounds until, who knows, you may just be dealt the hand you've been looking for all along. As you now return to reality, feeling like you're back in your own body, listening to my voice firmly in the present as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose, as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.